Today's guest is an unstoppable force of nature. Now, you know them as the beloved beauty and self-care expert on Queer Eye, a show that's won 6 Emmys and changed lives around the world, including mine. But Jonathan Van Ness is so much more than a TV icon. They're a best-selling author, podcaster, activist, entrepreneur, comedian, and more. From Emmy-nominated beginnings with Game of Thrones to Getting Curious, their new YouTube show, Getting Better, that I was just a guest on, best-selling books, children's stories, their hair care line, JVN Hair, Jonathan is truly living proof that you never, ever have to fit yourself into one singular box. You can create your own. So buckle up, because this conversation is going to be so much fun, so healing, and so full of joy. First of all, you don't know this, but I fell in love with you hard during the holidays, like just a few months ago. I was in a really, really tough place with my family. I was in a really, really tough place, like in every which way. And I was taking a break from basically the world, but I needed something nourishing to watch and forgive, but I had never dove in to Queer Eye before. So I started binging, and I started with the new season 9, and then worked my way backwards. And it just your energy, the whole show, it was like super healing for me. Oh. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you for watching.
Oh my gosh. And so one of my favorite moments, I was literally pulling out my camera and I was both like crying and laughing so hard because of you, was episode 4, when you said that you knew a lady growing up. She taught you a very simple, but I found it to be very clever way to not say mean things about yourself. Can you teach us about the life-changing magic of those 2 words?
Yes. Crop failure. Yeah. So this woman who was really important to me growing up, I knew her like my whole life. She did, spoiler alert, turn out to be like a unrepentant Trump supporting pastor's wife of an incredibly conservative right-wing church, who also, when Queer Eye went to Quincy in season 4, her husband wrote a letter to the newspaper of the town be like, what's what with all these homosexuals? So it's been an interesting actual journey, because like I've gotten to like, it's really been something of like holding the memories and the things that she taught me close, and still being able to like love and appreciate her for what she brought into my life. For sure. But also like really having to intentionally like let that relationship go, because it just became way too painful. So it was like what year? I think it was like 2012 that I kind of stopped being, really close with her in my life. But things that she taught me, like I still hold on to those things. I still tell people about it. And actually my relationship with her, my experiences with her, inform my relationships with, what was his name? I wish I remembered his name off the top of my head.
Snack Attack?
Yes, Snack Attack. Baskins.
We'll find it out. We'll look it up and we'll put it on the screen.
But because he was also like, he's like on a different end of the political spectrum than I am. So I always like dive into my like Quincy, my hometown bag when I need to like deal with conservative people, because I'm like, I know how to do this. Yes. But yeah, so crop failure, sorry it took me so long to get there. So crop failure is this idea that in the Christian faith, I think so much of what I would hear growing up is like, you reap what you sow. Like that's something that we so often hear. And your words are your seeds. And so if you say negative things, like those seeds like grow into like icky crops. Like you don't want those crops to come to fruition when you talk about yourself. Are we cussing here?
We can. Oh my God, it's my show. I'm from Jersey, and they come out a lot. So we can do whatever we want. Yes. But I remember I was sitting there because at that particular moment in my life, and again, it was just a few months ago, I just remember sometimes walking by the mirror and like hearing, even if it was programming from my past or something like, you're so weak right now, why can't you pull it together? Like, all this stuff. And then when you had that moment with the gentleman in episode 4, it's just like you taught him crop failure. I started using it for myself. And it was also just so fun. It was like such a fun way of, rather than going like, oh, here's another thing I'm doing wrong. It was like crop failure.
Crop failure, honey. No, it really helps. It like redirects.
So I think that's part of the magic. I mean, there's so much magic of you as a human. We're going to get into so much of that, but also of Queer Eye, that all of you show up and believe in someone and you see their beauty and their magic and their possibility, especially when they can't yet see it in themselves, if they've lost their ability. Can you tell the story of Steve and the diving board? I just love that in the book, because I feel like you have always been such a powerhouse, but as you're telling in your book, it was like in that moment, you didn't believe that you could do a backwards dive. And you were so passionate about all of these things. And, your mind was telling you that you're not ready yet. And I feel like that story could be just a perfect intro for us to talk about like letting go of our fears to try new things.
I definitely feel like it wasn't like the gentle parenting of 2025. So Steve was my stepdad, and he was just like the most amazing like father figure. And I mean, my dad's amazing too, but my stepdad really, he taught me how to fish. He taught me how to like drive, taught me how to change a car, taught me how to do a back dive. So I was like, you know how heterosexual men are about like their football?
Yes.
This is how I was with like gymnastics and figure skating growing up. Like my life revolved around it. And like my level of obsession with gymnastics was and still remains like not even on like the charts. But it's so frustrating. I just couldn't do a freaking backflip. Like I went to gymnastics. Like I never could get it. And so my stepdad used to say like, I think if you could get a back dive or just like throw one off the diving board, you could get one on the ground. But like, that's the first step. And I was like, no, I'm too scared. I can't. And so he was like, this summer, like you're going to learn. I think it was in like 7th or 8th grade.
In his Speedos, right?
Yeah, in his Speedos. Oh my God, it was so funny. He would like come out of the men's locker room in like the tiniest little Speedos. And he was like 6'3" and like probably 260, 250, but he didn't give a shit. He was like in his goggles, neon Speedos, did not give a shit. So cute. So finally he was like, just put your arms up, follow it back, like look back. And I just kept chickening out, wouldn't do it. So then he was like, let me help you. I'm going to come up on the diving board. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to like show you how. So he's like, yeah. So he was like, I'm going to put my arm around your lower back. And I just need you to like kind of start to do a back bend off the back. Like it, just look back, it'll be fine. But what I didn't realize is so I was looking back, but then he put his like hand on my shoulder. So he like forced me back into like a back bend. And then he just like pushed me and I, just forced me into a back dive. And I was like, it wasn't as scary as I thought. Because I could do front flips. I could do all the front flips all day long. I could do a 1.5 forwards, like off the diving board. But backwards, I just really did have such this like mental block.
Yes.
And when he finally did, it really is cool because I in Over the Top, I tell that story. It goes into after that, me like trying to make cheerleading and becoming a cheerleader. And you had to be able to get a backflip to try out for cheer. And I kind of saw that as my like ticket to like social, like community and like getting out of isolation. Cause like I needed to like get those girls to like me so that everyone else like would stop being nightmares to me. So I saw like a way, and cheerleading was my way. But I would literally like cry myself to sleep. Cause I'd be like, I can't get a backflip on a gym floor. I'm like too tall. My old gymnastics coach used to tell me that she never saw someone with less natural ability learn to tumble. I got over on sheer determination. Oh. That's what she said. Cause I'm like tall. I like don't have the body for it.
Yes.
But I just like willed myself into it. And it took me so freaking long.
You and I share a little DNA that way. First of all, I tried out for cheer so many times in high school and got so rejected. Like, yeah. Oh, embarrassingly rejected until finally, I think it was like 4 or 5 times after just feeling like total shit. And like, oh my God, I'm the worst and whatever, that I finally made it. And my coach at that time.
Oh my God, that makes me so happy. Was it your junior year, senior year?
I think it was my junior year.
Oh my God, so then you got 2 years?
I got 2 years. And I was like I'm a maniac from New Jersey. And at that time, I
bet it was competitive.
It was super competitive, but I was also a weightlifter. So I spent a lot of time at Gold's Gym.
You're good ass base, honey.
The fact that I do not look 127 right now is a miracle because the amount of time I spent in a tanning bed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would show up, and when I finally showed up that one time to try out, it was like full tan, like French manicure, big ass hair. I mean, enormous hair.
Hair's a big deal.
Very big deal. But it was very gratifying. And then I put my entire cheer team through like a weight training, basically regimen, because I'm like, we're going to win competition and we need stronger legs to, do all this stuff. Anyway, but it was sheer determination. There was like absolutely, all the other girls had like danced since they were mini. I had no dance experience. I love
that you went back.
Oh, I went back and I went back and I went back. And like, I didn't say this on your show, but I eventually became a Nike Elite dance athlete, one of the first in the world, by sheer determination. I have like zero dance training, but I willed myself into that position. So I get it. And I wanted to say about this because all of us have fears. I had mental blocks too. And I constantly, even still at this age, have to work through those fears of trying new things. So that's why I wanted you to tell that story. Okay, let's build off of that. Is there anything else that you've learned recently about letting go of your fear to try something new? Because I feel like you're always challenging yourself to move into new worlds.
Oh my gosh.
There might not be.
Well, no, there is. I started working on, so I've written 2 books, but they both were, memoir and then the second one was essay, but like,
Yes.
Still kind of memoir. Essay was like researchy, but it was kind of nice because like, it really allowed my ADHD to just like do its thing. I got to get really deep into things that I was highly passionate about and I didn't necessarily have to like connect it.
Yep.
And then I started realizing that I wanted to tell more stories and like really learn to write. And so through my podcast, I had interviewed a few different queer historians over the years. And I was like, I got this idea that I wanted to tell a story that was like intergenerational queer history. So that's like how my Let Them Stare book that's coming out in May came up. So that was like writing, like it was my first fiction novel.
Yeah.
But then from there I started being like, could I write TV? Like, could I be like a scripted storyteller and creator? So a couple years ago, I started like just thinking about my favorite shows like Golden Girls, Veeps, Hacks, and I started finding the manuscripts like online, like
Yes.
and just because I knew how to write memoir and now I've learned how to write fiction, but I still need a lot more work on fiction. Like if Julie Murphy hadn't co-authored that with me, Let Them Stare would be like a steaming hot dumpster fire. Like she really was so patient. The co-author that I worked with, like she wrote Dumplin' and she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. Like I'm so excited that I got to work with her and like it actually kind of makes me want to cry because she's just been the most nurturing, incredible
collaborator. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that for a minute because Let Them Stare is coming out on May 20th. Young adult novel.
Yes, young adult wife fiction, you guys.
It's so good. Tell us, and I know that part of kind of there's a mantra or an essence that you guys shared about bloom where you are planted.
Yes.
So depending on when we air this, I know it'll come out around when the book is launched, or if you're seeing this after.
You can pre-order too.
Yeah, pre-order.
Even if it's before, because you get a really cute keychain. Really cute keychain. And can I tell you?
Yes.
Julie was so smart because they wanted us to do these like patches, and Julie was like, no one wears a patch anymore. I'm sorry. Like it's all about a keychain. Like everybody loves a keychain. And and they were like, it's like a little bit like a different budget than a patch. And she was just like, honey,
fierce.
We have got to get the keychain. And I'm so glad she did because people like are kind of obsessed with our keychain.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with it. So if you want to pre-order her, you can get it.
There's a lesson in there though, because it's about taking a stand for what you know to be true as a creator. And I think that is so important for all creators watching right now. I remember I had to do that with Everything is Figure Outable. They did not want, and I love my publisher, by the way. They're amazing. But they were like, no, like about the cover. And I was like, this.
You're like, it has to be SJP.
Yes, right? It was like I needed to do that. So I love that your collaborator, took a stand for what she felt was going to be like one of the best bonuses to support the book.
She's one of the best like leading like fiction. I mean, she like YA fiction. She's just like, I mean, she really is like top of her game, top of her class. Like Julie, have you ever seen that movie Dumplin' with Jennifer Aniston on Netflix?
It's on my list.
It's so cute. It's from like 1819. It's been on there for a minute, but she just writes like banger after banger after banger. Julie Murphy does. But I feel like she was just so patient and really, really gentle. And she just like created an environment where it really helped me thrive.
Yes. And give us a little snapshot, a little preview about the book and who it's for. And
it's like 12 to 18, although I would say that so many of my like, way more adult friends have been like obsessed with it. And they're like, I think everyone's really going to like it. Here's the elevator pitch for Let Them Stare. It's about a haunted handbag that this genderqueer, like 18-year-old kid who just graduated high school. They're leaving their hometown in Pennsylvania. It's a little town called Hearst. And they're like, they kind of have a Bridget Jones, like, if I have to work within 10 feet of you moment, but with their whole family at the graduation party. They're like, screw all you guys. I'm leaving. I never have to see you again. Except for the next day, some things happen and they end up having to stay in their hometown. They get stuck there. And then they find this bag. But the bag is priceless. Like, I mean, I'm talking like Antique Roadshow, Sotheby's, like life-changing, like like major money, but it's haunted by this fierce ass character, Rufus, who we love. And Rufus and Sully, who's the main character, end up building this incredible friendship, and they find out so much about each other. But ghost evictions are devastating when you become close to the ghost. And so it's like once Rufus gets to the kind of, they have like the ghost amnesia, which so many ghosts, struggle with the ghost amnesia. So it's kind of about finding something that works for you, blooming where you're planted. And I think what was really most important for me in this era that we're in is I was so shocked when I was like 30 something to really realize that like queers have been everywhere for so long. Like I really was out here not knowing that. And one of the ways that it was so viscerally brought to life for me was again on my pod it's called Getting Better Now, but we were Getting Curious for like 9 years. And I got to interview these people who started this channel on Instagram called LGBT History. And when I interviewed them, they brought this like magazine from the 60s that was like this Midwestern queer magazine. And it had like pen pal notes in it. And there was this letter from the 60s from this guy who was like, I've had a good friend, Ron, for 10 years, but Ron doesn't want to move out of his house with his mother. And if he doesn't want to like take our friendship more seriously, move out of his, house with his mother, then I've got to move on and find a new friend. So it was like all this like coded roommate, like, like gay 60s language. And it was like, Quincy, Illinois. And I was like, what the hell? And so that was kind of, I guess it seemed kind of obvious, but it is just so true that we have existed for hundreds of years. And I think in this time of like erasure and such censorship, it's really important for me that young queer people have possibility models of finding joy where they are. Because not everyone can get out of their hometown. And that's not even the goal for some people. And for me, I think in media growing up, it always was. Like coming from a small town, it's like you got to make it to New York or LA and get to the big city. And that's like where the real life happens. And as someone who has accomplished their dreams, I can say, I'm not sure that I wouldn't have been happier on a lake in my hometown, like in a small little like community center. It's like wherever you are, like your life can be rich and beautiful. And it's like about like wanting what you have. And so,
I love that. I love that so much. And I think that it applies for all of us. And I also have to find myself at times like, I'm always looking at young adult like fantasy. Like I just downloaded something. I'm going to be going to Sicily in a couple weeks. And I'm like, yes. And I'm like looking and I'm like, oh, is this for teens? Oh, it's for me. There's a teenager inside of me. So I love this. Congratulations. And we're so excited. So we have so many creatives and entrepreneurs that are in our audience. And I think one of the biggest questions that I hear all the time, and it's a concern and it always breaks my heart when I hear it, is that folks are desirous of sharing, whether it's a product, a service, an idea, a message, a cause, but they are terrified, especially on social media, that if they share themselves, they're going to be criticized, they're going to be judged, that the world is going to be really cruel and mean to them. You are an incredible public figure. You've dealt with so much. You've been in the public eye now for years. For people even who aren't necessarily worried about trolls, but they're like, people are going to think I'm too much. And I had that narrative, I remember much earlier. Is there anything that you would tell someone who's afraid to put themselves out there and to be fully seen, whether it's in their work or their personal life or their identity?
Not to keep name dropping the pod, but I do feel I feel like almost everything amazing that I've learned has come from like the people I've got to interview on my podcast. But Amin Ghaziani is this incredible queer historian. And he said to me something, I interviewed him last summer. It was Pride 2024. And 2024 was just like not my year. It was just, I like to say that I went from America's sweetheart to like America's bottom bukkake JVN. Like I just, every time I turned around, someone was trying to like on my chest when I didn't ask for it. And I just felt like I was just getting like assaulted by the world, like every 2 seconds. But he said to me something that I will never forget. When he said it to me, my stomach dropped through my heart. I got head to toe chills. It's so much so that even just now, like I like went to hold the back of my head. Cause he said to me, find the courage to be disliked. And the bigger my career got, the more afraid I was to become disliked, which is not how it should go, because the more known you become, the more you will be exposed to people not liking you. So I don't know why, like the more successful I got, almost I feel like the more sensitive or something I got. Like and it sounds so like, but it's like being perceived by a lot of people, whether it's in real life, like, you're on a stage or on a TV or on social media, like when you're being perceived like by a lot of people, it is overwhelming.
Yes.
And especially if there's like a hardcore people pleaser in there, which like I got such a people pleaser in here that they're driving me nuts, honey. I'm always working on my relationship with my people pleaser. So I think I would say what Amin said, which is like find the courage to be disliked, but that is like so incredibly hard.
Absolutely. It's a work in progress. I mean, I remember in the beginning when I just first started sharing my work online, first of all, there's no one paying attention. So, and I was still young enough to like not have anything to lose. And so I didn't give a do you know what I mean? And then I think one of the things for me, I'm a very sensitive human being, even though I have somewhat of like with maturity, I think comes a lot of perspective. And so I've learned a lot over the years. It's been like, 23 years of me having this business and in some form doing kind of public things. And in the beginning, I think like the hormones were raging. You know what I mean? I'm in my like mid 20s. I'm like, I don't give up. And this is just me. And then I remember in like my mid 30s was where I was absorbing so many comments, and because I had an online show and seeing all the things, and I found myself almost subconsciously editing down. First of all, there was a good place in it, meaning I didn't want to, because I'm wild and crazy. So things might pop out of my mouth that are unintentionally maybe offending someone or hurting. And it's like, I'm super playful. I'm super loving. That is not my heart.
Yes.
Do you like ever?
Yes.
And I'm like every other human, learning and growing. But I just found myself kind of shrinking to fit.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that helped me was I actually stopped like being as engaged in the comments. And I was like, if I don't protect my creative vessel and just focus on the work, my heart, my family, my health, like those kind of things, I'm like, I'm going to shrink into nothing. So thank you for sharing what you've learned. And I feel like it's a continuous.
That resonates so much.
Yeah, that it's a continuous journey. I think the other thing that was challenging for me was, and I don't know if you've navigated this or it's ever popped up, was just like, oh my gosh, I've built this beautiful thing. I don't want to lose what I have. Do you know what I mean? Of like not wanting to then, disappoint partners or disappoint so-and-so by being the full crazy Marie that I am.
Yes.
So anyway, I think, and then one of the things that's helped me too is also knowing, just being a human and going like, there's tons of people that don't like me no matter what. So it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna keep going.
Yes.
Going back to Queer Eye for a minute, one of the things I love is just watching evolution over time. Like, so when I started my show, I think it was like 2009 on YouTube, and it was a webcam from my MacBook, right? No lighting.
Photo booth was like such a vibe. I loved that photo booth era.
So when I started watching Queer Eye, I actually did it in reverse chronology. So I, started with the latest season and then was going backwards. And so as I was watching the earlier seasons, I was watching you and the whole team, even the editors and the production, because I love production. I love watching how things unfold. Did you notice yourself getting more comfortable on camera over time, or like how, you know what I mean? When you guys when everyone shows up with these incredible heroes, I just watched each of the I was like, oh my gosh, I just watched the evolution and it was so much fun. It was so much fun to witness. Did you watch back shows, or do you feel like you just learned how to be more artful and skillful?
It's so funny. Well, not so funny, but I hear that a lot. Like when people talk to me, like if they just get into the show or if they've been watching it for a long time, like people say, like, oh, I've just seen you like grow into yourself. Or like, and I was like, I'm like, really? That like, I love that. I didn't even mean to. It just happened. I mean, I think I've been saying this for like 7 years, but it's so true. I still feel myself in like a constant state of shock, like that I get to do Queer Eye, that I get to like do hair and like meet people and be in like, it's just, it really is such a cool experience. But I think over the time I don't want to be like anticlimactic, but I feel like the most thing that changed was my checkbook. Like I could just get way cuter clothes, way cuter glam. Like I feel like that, and I feel like from season 1 to like 3, 4, because like that's what like I got my stylist. Like season 1 and 2, like I didn't have there was a stylist on the show, but I was just like constantly going rogue and like doing my own thing. Yeah, like just just trying to figure it out. Yeah. And to Allie B's defense, if you're ever watching this, she's been my stylist since 2000 and like since the premiere of Queer Eye. That's when I met her, and I've literally only ever worked with her since. Yeah. And she will. Like when she watches this show, she'll be like, girl, like this was not in the lookbook. Like you went rogue on this. Like this was not the look that we agreed on. But it's like, it's Vegas or it's like New Orleans or it's Philadelphia or like Austin, Texas in like the height of summer. And so sometimes I'm like, girl, I can't do hair. No, and these long sleeves. I'm like
sweating.
Yeah, there was like a really famous character on SNL called Pat who was like it's not. It would never pass 2025, but they were like giving gender queer. It was giving gender queer. No one knew if Pat was like a man or a woman. They were really, really funny. But I wore this one outfit in Vegas, and Allie B sent me this thing, and she was like, "You are dressed as like a Pat lookalike in this salon scene. Like, what is this outfit?" And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Oh, this is like I was wearing like moccasins." Pink jeans and like a light bluish gray t-shirt. I thought it was so cute. Allie was not having it. So she styles me like, I would say like 95% of the time, except for the 5% of the times when I go rogue. Yes. But I feel like that kind of like.
That elevated how you.
Stylistically, like it did like, and so I don't know if that's kind of, I also feel like one other thing that really, really like aesthetically changed. The first like, and not even to like plug JVN Hair, but it's so true. I never had the patience to like wear my hair curly on camera, because if I was doing like, you know how we do those little interviews in Queer Eye?
Yes, absolutely.
If you ever like have to recreate one of those, like I don't want, like I could never make my curly hair look the same way twice. So I always blew it out straight. Yep. Then, or like, just did a blow dry. Yep. Then when I started formulating JVN Hair, and cause I just love curls. I love natural texture. And like, it's my favorite type of hair to style and do. And I just was like sick of layering like 19 products on my hair, like having to do like a cream and a gel and a foam and an oil. So that was like my kind of inspo behind air dry cream when I did formulate it and started JVN Hair. So then from like scrunching so many versions of air dry cream in my hair and just like only wearing my hair curly, I finally figured out, after doing hair professionally for like over a decade, how to do my own curls consistently so I could make them look the same. So then I started like embracing my natural texture more. And I think, I also think it's like, I just never think about this. The other thing too, it's like with Queer Eye, like we watch the episodes. I watch them like right before they come out or when I do interviews and stuff. But it's not like I go back and like
rewatch and like critique yourself.
No. Or like, but I do think that I'm more aware now of like, if I'm talking too long, that's never going to make it. Yeah. Like, so I am a little bit more aware of like, how can I get my point across in like 2 sentences instead of like 12? Yes. And just be a little quippier, be a little shorter, like be more aware of like what they need. Whereas I feel like at the beginning, I was just like,
yeah, no, as everyone is.
I learned how to be a producer. I mean, when we started, we didn't have producer credits, and now we have EP credits. And I mean, I think from Game of Thrones, like I started that off, didn't know anything about writing, producing, performing, comedy, nothing. And I learned how to produce, write, EP. Like I learned about editing, sound engineering, like lighting.
Isn't it amazing?
I just have learned so much stuff on the job. Yes. Like in life that has just been so cool.
I love it. I love the behind the scenes, and I love, I don't know if you can share this, but we see a 40-ish, 50-ish minute finished product. How many hours about go into one episode, even just of shooting,
40.
Not even of pre-pro?
I think 40.
Oh my, isn't that amazing?
I would say like 40, maybe between 30 and 40. Because you're shooting like 8 hours a day for 5 days. Yes. And I think for like when I'm in the salon with them, if it's someone where I'm doing like cut and color, we are on mic, on camera, like that whole time.
My goodness.
Like the whole time.
My goodness.
I mean, I feel like that's, sometimes I never like say this because I just don't. But like sometimes when we do group interviews, people be like, what's like the hardest part about filming that, and people always go to design because it is the most physically intensive, like, it's long. But the difference is like design has like 10, 20 people. I got this girl right here. Yeah. And so when I'm thinking about like how much, and also having production, which will be like, can you do this can we do like a bigger transformation
Yes.
in less amount of time?
Yeah,
like,
no, there's
so much pressure. And then like doing
sure.
hair in front of like 3 cameras with like so many people like watching your every move, and you can feel their pressure of like, I need you to hurry up so we can get to the next scene and start that on time. But like sometimes you're like, her hair's orange right now.
Yeah, no,
it's not lifting as fast. Like I thought it was going to lift faster, but I didn't. That's another thing I've learned on Queer Eye. I test strand now. I didn't used to test strand because I'd be like, I know how this is going to lift. Now, honey, before I even think about doing highlights on camera,
Yes.
I'm test stranding that sucker like a day or two before just to see if it's going to lift okay. And then they just have like one little random highlight.
Yes.
That like I hide it underneath so I can just like see how it's going to lift because I just can't.
I love that. No, there's so many different things. And I think with almost any creative project, but certainly something that is on television or film or like a live production, when you see something that looks easy and effortless and it's magical, it's like the amount of work that goes into creating that magic is so, it's always mind blowing. And
those turnaround scenes like in Queer Eye, like when I turn them around, like that's usually like 10 o'clock at night. We've all been there for like 7 hours. And like me and the makeup artist, I'm like,
yeah, but
just
you're
like,
still,
let's brighten these eyes up and just like let's make us look alive, honey.
you're sounding fresh and you're looking fresh.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it is. Okay, so let's talk about fame a little bit and just being a public figure a little bit more. I feel like from reading your memoir, like you knew from a very young age, like you were a star on the inside. And I know but it's like, you knew.
I definitely thought I was.
Yes. Well, I was like landing it, sticking it. And then of course, after the show premiered, your life changed a lot. And I know you wrote about this in Over the Top, but is there anything about fame that you wish you knew before that no one tells you that can either be surprising or difficult or something that you either didn't expect or you wish you knew how to navigate before it happened? I remember I did something, I'm so not famous, but like,
you are. Tell me everything.
Well, it was like, I just was having a rough time one time and I was living in Venice in California. And my best friend and I was just like, when you're just having like not a great day.
Yeah.
And we were in Erewhon, which is, I love Erewhon. And someone who was a big fan came up to me and asked if they could take a picture. And I said no. And I felt really guilty. I just didn't like, I was like, I am so appreciative. You're amazing. I was like on the verge of tears based on something I was going through. And I've always felt really about that because I felt like I wasn't showing up as, you know what I mean?
That resonates so hard. I can't even stand
like
it.
my best self. And I could feel her disappointment. Again, I'm a super sensitive, energetic being. And I remember feeling like just a piece of shit after that. And again, I'm nobody. And it brings tears to my eyes now because I was just like, damn it, Marie, why couldn't you have just smiled and like took a picture and made someone else's day? Look, I'm tearing up saying it. Anyway.
No, it just resonates so hard. I mean, I remember when this is like so sad. I wrote about it and love that story. But like I had a cat who I just like loved so much, and he fell out of the window of my apartment building and died when we were filming Queer Eye.
Oh God.
It was season 5 in Philly, and I woke up at 7 a.m, couldn't find him. I thought when I got Uber Eats the night before, I thought like he went out the front door or something. And so I was like in the hallways, like bug, but like looking for him. Meanwhile, the air conditioning in the building had broken. So it was like August. It was like really hot. So like I cracked this window that was like it's like a Swiss cheese window. It like didn't go up and down like this. It like went, like this. So it was like 2 inches. And this cat was like a big ass, like 1-year-old cat. So I didn't think he could like, it's not like the window was like open wide. It was like not an irresponsible, like big ass window. I go down to the front desk. I'm like, did someone turn in my cat? Like, I feel like I left him on like whatever the floor that I was on, and her face just like totally changed. And it was like a movie. Like I could like see the air conditioner thing being broken. I could see me like opening it. And then she was like, we found him this morning. I'm so sorry. Like he's in the back and I just like crumpled. Like I crumpled to the ground sobbing. I will never forget this man coming out of the elevator, walking his dog, and he stepped over me like Fashion Roadkill in Sex and the City. And the lady who had just told me that they had found Bug was like, because like this man just like walked over and I was like, I was giving you Nancy Kerrigan, like I was giving you just screaming in agony. Like I just could not believe it. But here's the worst part, other than what had happened. Like Good Morning America had done this this prize giveaway where like 5 people got to come watch like us filming like the scene when we like watch how we call it like the loft scene. And so we were filming a loft scene at like 9:30 that morning. So I called our showrunner and I was like, girl, there's like no way I can't like I can't be myself today. Like I can't.
Yes.
And when I got upstairs to tell her that, like all the cabinets were still open and like the closet was open because I had been like looking for him because I just thought because like if you have a cat, like, you know, like you sometimes they get into a closet, you shut the door, like, and like it was just like, other than like, honestly, it's like top 3 most traumatizing things that's ever happened to me in my life. Like it really was just like worst, craziest, saddest. So, but anyway, I think the day that we filmed it was that I had like really morbid humor. I remember they kept this line in the show, but I was like, oh, Tan, I was like, I love your shirt. And I was like, I think my grandma was buried in something just like it. And I just could not stop making like the darkest jokes. And these fans came from GMA and I was just like beside myself and like could not like be my normal self.
Yeah.
Then because I'm very stable and handle grief really well, that day, like some of my team had like come to Philly to just like be with me because we wrapped at like 2 that afternoon. I remember my agent was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I'm going to go get 2 kittens. Like I have like no grieving time on my schedule. Like I can't lose a cat right now. I'm just going to like put 2 kittens and like this like because I had a cat that passed away when we were filming in season 3 who was like 12. He just died of like natural, you know, old causes. He was like my first baby, Bug the first. So this was Bug the second. And then I was like, well, I can't get a Bug the third. That's like just too much. So I got these like 2 really cute cats, Matilda and Genevieve. But then when I got back to the apartment, I was like, the air conditioning's broken. Now I have 2 even smaller cats. So I just like hotboxed in this little 1-bedroom apartment in Philly with like a broken air conditioner. I can't even remember. Oh yeah. So there's that. But when that happened, I remember I made a post and I made that post for people to be like, don't like for this week, like, I know I won't be doing a picture. I will not be my normal self. If I seem like a crazy person, it's because like big T trauma just happened and I just am not like my normal self. Interestingly though, with the whole like pictures and just like, and you know, selfies, I was so excited to do them. I did them all the time for the first like 2 or 3 years. Then I had a one-eyed reactive dog named Pablo who I ultimately had to rehome because he bit like 9 people, like my mom, my husband, my old assistant, and a random electrician. Just like he was a biter. He had like major dog PTSD. So when people would come close to me, I just like didn't want to end up on the news. But then I felt so guilty about saying no to selfies that I realized that it's easier for me to just say yes.
Yeah.
So even if like my arm's hanging off, even like, no, like literally, like I had like this other like really like tragic like thing happen in not to say, but I mean, I just had like a tragic like death in our family in 2023. And even when that happened, I remember like I was in the airport, like flying, like after I just found out and this lady needed a selfie. And I just like, I don't know if it's healthy for my mental health. But after I did go through like a 1-year period where I felt like I could say no.
Yes.
And then after doing it, like I probably said no like 10 times.
Yeah.
Like a good like 10 times for various reasons.
Yeah. Ranging
from I don't feel like it to bad day to whatever. And then after just saying, I was like, I'm just going to do it. Even if I look like even if I don't want to, I just do it now. That was my other thing,
especially because I live in New York and I often run into people on the street where I, you know, like.
When do I ever look cute?
I was just like, it also came back to my own self-love because then I was having like my own perfectionist bullshit of like, oh, I have to, and I don't wear a ton of makeup, but it's like, I do not wake up like this.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
of
there's
course.
like doing some work here.
Yeah.
And so I just got over myself and now I'm like, you know what? I'm a loving human. And if this amazing other loving human, I happen to get the privilege to like meet them and somehow my work has touched their heart, I'm a yes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Unless there's something going on where I can verbally say, oh my goodness, I just don't have it in. You know what I mean? And I can connect with them. Anyway, thanks for talking about that.
No, God, of course. It's my pleasure.
It's like so fun. Okay. So let's talk about the fact that you're just like, I love how prolific you are. So Netflix show, you know, Getting Better, your podcast, Hair Care Line, and comedy, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I'm going to make us go a little faster because I can't lose you because there's so much to talk about with you because it's so good. Or we're just going to have to do round 2.
Please.
How do you know when an idea is worth saying yes to? Like, do you have an internal green light system that you've kind of learned to cultivate?
You really taught me a lot about this.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, you really taught me a lot about this. You know,
even your own internal creative ideas. Do you know what I mean? Like because it's like you always got a lot going on.
Yeah, I think I just know when I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah.
I know when I'm really good at identifying a full body yes. I'm not as good yet at identifying a full body no. Because I feel like sometimes I'm such a like my busy bee, like my worker part
Yes.
is just like, I will figure this out.
Yes.
So sometimes
I got that too.
yeah, you know, I'm like, it is.
Yes.
Everything is figured out. Like, we can figure this out.
Yes.
But so that part is like a little harder, like being like, maybe I don't have the time, or maybe like it's really hard for me to say, this is not a priority for me right now. That's so hard for me to say.
Yes.
But it's something I've learned. So I feel like that's easier for me to identify than full body no.
Yes.
Because I also feel like a non-binary person.
Yeah.
I say this as a joke, but it's like true.
Yeah.
I hate like this or that.
Yeah.
Like full body yes or full, like I just feel like
You're like, what if
binaries.
it's a full body maybe?
Maybe. Yeah. And it's like, I just feel like binaries and it's like yes and no, like black and white thinking. I do feel like it like gets us into trouble unless it's like really, really obvious. Like don't murder someone, you know, don't assault. So like there's like some things that are like very obviously easy yeses or nos.
Totally.
But a lot of other stuff, it is a little bit more nuanced.
And I wonder if we created a category almost like where this just came to me right now, where it's almost just like a little, I talk about things like it's on my side burner.
Yes.
You know, where it's going to hang out over here for a little bit. And we're going to keep her cute and we're going to keep her warm and she's maybe incubating.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, oh, it just might not be your time at this moment.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll go into that little grab bag later.
Yes.
Okay. I love that. Staying with Creative Powerhouse, running a media empire, you have so many great projects. What are, like, whether it's been key hires or key people, like a manager, a producer, an agent, executive assistant, like, is there anyone that you were like, holy cow, you can see the before and after, like before I had this person, not that it was a show, but you were like this and you're like, after these key people, you know, my life has gotten better. Like I have someone on my team, for example, my VP of operations, we've been together for like 12 years. She's like I don't even know how to explain it. She's like my other half in a work sense. Her brain works so differently than mine. Like we share values and value system and we think about money the same way and we laugh the same way and we make stupid jokes in the same way, but she's got such a different skill set than I do. And honestly, I don't think I'd be sane or here if it wasn't for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was such a big, big difference when she came into my life.
That's major.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a role that's like my head of operations.
Yeah.
That role but also it's been so hard. It's like figuring that out, figuring out like how for me to be a manager and a leader, figuring out like because I think my things that take up most of my time, it's like JVN Hair, my podcast, Queer Eye when we're filming, and then like comedy and like writing.
Yes.
Like those are all like the things that
big
like
buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And figuring out like what I need on my team versus like what maybe my podcast needs versus like what JVN Hair needs and how like my company interacts with JVN Hair. Cause like I don't own JVN Hair. It's like a different thing,
entity.
But you know, I'm a founder and I like interact with them and I'm really involved. So it's been like a long dance, but I think really the one that has made the biggest difference is I got a new business manager and they are so hardcore and scary and like my old business manager and God bless them because I mean I was like with them for 10,000 years.
Yes.
I'm someone who like I really don't like to switch. I like to like I'm loyal to a fault, but sometimes it like can hurt me. So that's like something I'm like kind of working through. But and it all started because, again, my podcast, I interviewed Tori Dunlap, financial feminist. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She has this pod. It's her first 100K.
Yes.
But I'm obsessed with her. I love her so much. And my old answer to like stress was just like work more. Yeah. Like, I mean, the overhead that I got myself into and then like hiring all these people and like doing everything because I was like, oh my God. And so I just kept working and just kept saying yes. And then but I never could say no and I never had time off. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. And I was like, how do you even do this? Yeah. Because for years I would just like work. And then I would impulse buy. Then I would realize it was like September and then I'd be like, oh, I got to pay like how much in taxes in December? Totes. And then I would like run myself in circles. And I was just stressed all the time. Then these people were like, so Tori Dunlap was like, this is what I do. And then I got these business managers that aligned. And so now, honey, I understand my budget. I understand my P&Ls. I know what an EBITDA is. Woo! I get it. And I actually budget now. And like, so, and I, you know, sometimes I f up and like, I don't exactly get to but
we're humans.
My impulsivity is so much better.
Congrats.
And just kind of like eyes wide open, knowing but the really uncomfortable part for me has been because I'm so impulsive and I like things to go fast. I made these really impulsive decisions with like living arrangements and like, you know, my house and stuff like in 2022. And I've been having to like sit with the consequences of that for like so long. And even with these business managers, the impulsivity, just like all of it, it's been really interesting. I just turned 38. I feel like I'm at that age where I'm like, oh, it really is your decision making. It really is like, yes, it's your community. Yes, it's how you're supported, but also it's ultimately like how you set yourself up. And like no one ever will care about your outcome as much as you will. So you do have to kind of like make decisions so that you're not setting yourself up to like be impulsive or, you know, have your like your maladaptive coping strategies coming out and like taking care of you when you're overwhelmed.
Yes.
So that's been a lesson.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's an ever evolving dance. I remember there was a time like in my company where, you know, we had over 40 people and I love taking care of people. It's part of my soul and it's part of who I am. And then I was coming to a new stage in my life where I was like, I just want lighter and leaner and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So I think it's like an ever evolving dance with who we want to be and how we want to express ourselves. But I'm so happy to hear that this is like, and by the way, we can talk about this so much offline because I love money and I love talking about it. And I love helping people just become free, whatever that means for them. And it has every different shade and shape and no one's the same, but it's like, it's such a worthwhile journey. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. I want to shift on to comedy.
Okay.
So I just watched your comedy special literally last night, Fun and Slutty.
Thank you for watching it.
So good. You're so funny, like on Queer Eye, you're so funny, but I'm so curious. Like, I think you now have done 3 full shows, right? So Hot and Healed is the newest.
Yes.
And I saw you just added new dates. We have a lot of viewers in Australia.
You do?
Yes. So I know you have new dates in the fall.
I am. Yeah, I'm going in. It's going to be September and
October.
September and October. It's like, they always like straddles a month. But yeah, I'm going to be in Auckland, Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide, Sydney, and Brisbane. And I love Adelaide. I have this like obsession with Adelaide because it has a half an hour time zone and I just like can't get over it. Like I just, and every time I perform there, like my whole set goes out the window and I just like freak out about their half hour time zone. I can't believe people can still come see me there because I just, you know, half my set's going to be about your 30-minute time zone. Do you know about this?
No, I don't. I'm like, my mind is being blown.
They have so like, okay, it would be like if New York was like, it was like 10 o'clock here, but then like in Jersey, it was 10:30.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's a half an hour time zone. Like in Adelaide, it's a half an hour. I think it's a half an hour behind Sydney.
Wow.
So it's not an hour. It's like, so like on the TV, it'll be like 10:30 Sydney, like 10 o'clock but also there's a lot of 15:45s. They'd be like 10:15 Sydney, 9:45 Adelaide. And there's something about
no, you got to keep yourself on your toes.
Like niche, like loving of niche things, like that really like triggers me.
Okay, I have to ask, when did you know that you wanted to do stand up and how far between the idea, like I want to do a stand-up show between you getting your ass on stage and doing it? Because for me, it feels like being funny, there's a big chasm between being funny and having material to do a whole set.
It all started with Game of Thrones. And so that was like this recap series that I did on Funny or Die. We started it in like 2013. And this client of mine whose hair I had done for 15,000 years, she's like, are you watching Game of Thrones? And I was like, oh, honey. And then I like did this like impromptu recap and she was like, that's a web series. So that's how we started that. It ended up getting nominated for like 3 Emmys for like short form variety series. And it was actually like one of the first time that the Emmys ever did a short form variety series, which was their way of saying web series. We were like one of their inaugural nominees. We lost to James Corden 3 times, but it's fine. So, but you know, nominations are also super cool.
Yes.
So, no, but seriously, thank you, Academy. I love you. If you're watching this. So the second season of that, we got to do Margaret Cho, and I was driving and I was at a red light and my Twitter like came through and it was like Margaret Cho had like been like, how do I get in your chair? And Notorious CHO and like her stand up from like 2000 to 2002 on like, but Notorious CHO was the first like comedy special that I ever got. And it's the only thing I've ever shoplifted. I don't think they can sue me anymore from Blockbuster, but it was like, I think it was like NC-17 and I was like 12 and my mom wasn't going to let me do it. And I had saw her on TV on like the late night Comedy Central stuff.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to watch that special. And I just fell in love with her. I fell in love with stand up. She got me into like other comedians like Lisa Lampanelli, Wanda Sykes, that I just grew up watching, like all the queens of comedy. So I always loved stand up and appreciated it, but I never thought like I could be a stand up comedian. So then when Margaret got in my chair and we did Game of Thrones, the first thing she said to me, like after like 3, like, I mean, it wasn't the very first thing, but like we did a couple lines and she's like, you're meant to be a stand up comedian. And I was like, I'm meant to be your hairdresser. Where do you live? And she had just wrapped Drop Dead Diva, which had been on Lifetime for like 9 seasons. She just moved back to LA. She's like, I don't have a hairdresser right now. So I was like, please let me be your hairdresser. So I become her hairdresser. She asks me to like come with her to a couple shows. I start to see how comedy works. And by like 2015, I had a couple friends that asked me to do some open mic nights. I did like a 5-minute here. I did a 10-minute there. So between 15 and 18, I probably did like 10 times just getting up, like writing little things at the salon. You know, someone would invite me to do like an open mic. So I did it like 10 times, but I never made money from it. And I just was like, and I liked it, but I was like, I'm not going to like get up at like 11 o'clock at night. Like when I have to go to do a client at like 7 in the morning on a Saturday, my priority was in the salon.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is cool. It's like a fun thing to work. And I also felt like it helped me with Game of Thrones, like be funny in the moment and be used to like being uncomfortable while being watched.
Yes.
So I felt like it was like a good like cross training thing for whenever I did Game of Thrones. But then obviously when Queer Eye happened, then all of a sudden, like, you know, my followers went up, you know, my platform went up. And so then all of a sudden it was like, do you want to headline the Improv? Do you want to do like, so then I started doing like Caroline's Comedy, Hollywood Improv, like, you know, like smaller, like, but, you know, really iconic comedy clubs.
Yes.
Then by like April of 2019, I was like selling out Radio City.
Come on.
And what's interesting about that though, is that like, I was not ready. My comedy was not ready for Radio City. And I think my comedy career, it's been interesting because I got overexposed and did all of these venues that like my comedy wasn't ready for. It wasn't good enough. Like straight up, like I can admit it.
Yeah.
It was not good enough.
You're still growing.
I was still growing. That was like, and I was doing like hour sets when I was like, I should have still been like workshopping that shit in like little clubs, but I was doing it at Radio City. So that actually, I think, kind of negatively impacted my comedy career, like getting too big too fast. And then I had to kind of like go back and like, and just kind of work from like the bottom back up again.
Yeah.
So now when I do, and now, so I've just learned so much about like the scene and how it works. Like when you're like, so I did like, Imaginary Living Room Olympian, then I did Road to Beijing, then I did Imaginary Living Room Olympian, then I did Fun and Slutty, now Hot and Healed.
Okay.
So it's like, now when I'm getting something together, I don't do it in theaters. Like I do it in little comedy clubs because that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yes.
And you never film your special until you've been running your show for like at least a year or two.
Yeah.
Which I used to think that I thought I needed like a new tour like no. Like you're supposed to be working on your show for like a year, 2 years. So from the time I had the idea until when I started doing it was like pretty fast, but it took me like 10 years to get to where I am.
That's amazing. It's just, I was having so much fun last night just watching you.
Thank you for watching Fun and Slutty.
It's so fun.
I was on a United flight the other day and I like saw it on a United flight and it made me like kind of emotional. Like being a queer comedian, it's like hard anyway. And like comedy is like really such like historically is like such an all bros club.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's like queer, Black, woman, disabled, just any marginalized community that's like not a straight man or straight white guy, it is like a little harder to get your foot in. And also when you're not what everyone else is, finding ways to like make that be funny or relatable to like a lot of people is even harder, which is why a lot of our comedians are, I think, more in line gender and, you know, sexual or their sexuality and their gender norms and the way that they look. It informs your comedy. Like your life experience informs your comedy.
Yeah.
Obviously. And so I do think that that's like why so many like cishet people are really successful in this space because they're seen as more relatable.
Yeah.
So it's even harder for someone that's like in a dress, that's, you know, assigned male at birth, that's genderqueer, that's like doing their own thing. It's harder to break through. And I think that, and I also just would say like Veeps, that's like the place that bought my special and put it on. I just am so grateful that they believed in me. They gave me this shot. They let me edit my material. It was just amazing. I had such a fun experience doing it. And I hope I get to do it again.
Yeah, I think you will. It feels like you're so good at it. And I loved you were telling about how the first time when you were in Australia, like, and you told the HIV joke. And I just loved that you were just like, it just fell flat.
Did not work.
Yeah. But I also want to talk about this too, because it's, you know, where we started talking about so many people feeling afraid to be judged or to be criticized. And one of the gajillion things that I love and appreciate about you, it's like, hey, I'm going to do this joke and I'm out here and there's literally thousands of people in the crowd and crickets.
Yeah.
And it fell. And it ended
up being one of the funniest jokes ever.
Yes. So what was that like of just like that feeling? Like, did you have a sinking in your stomach? You're like, oh my God, this was a stinker.
Well, yeah. So just so you guys know, this joke was like, I was in Australia. It was like 2022. And I said, I had this bit where I would say like, I'm HIV positive. This was my second pandemic. But everyone else, when I had been doing that joke, was like living for it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't remember what city I was in. I can't remember if it was what city I was in. But it just like no one laughed. And all the wind just like left the room. And I felt, in the moment, I felt like a lot of shame. Because I was like, oh, like people must think like, who is it? Like the HIV? Like, why do people, like, why is no one laughing? But then I realized, I was like, girl, it's a language barrier. I don't think they understood how you said H. Because like down there, they don't say H like that. They say H.
Well, then when you slipped into, and I watched it last night and you did that whole Australian, I was just like, your physical comedy is really good.
I feel like that's really where I shine. You
shine a lot of places, but also like there was one moment where you were squatting in the dress and like squat, and you just went around. Oh God, that I was like losing my shit.
I hope they don't deport me.
I
feel like they're going to start. I feel like I'm going to be like top of their list, girl. I hope they don't watch it. I really need this administration, and I just need like
no.
I really need like. I need no Republicans to watch Fun and Slutty on United.
No.
Please.
It's so funny.
There needs to be a new rating system for like like NRA, like no Republicans allowed. It's like we'll like rebrand the NRA, you know, like no Republicans allowed, girl. Like it's not safe.
Oh my God, you're gonna keep doing amazing comedy, and it's gonna be brilliant. Okay, so you're insanely good at being the light for other people. I often am for the folks in my life. And I have some symbols, like my best friend, if I am like in a spiral, you know what I mean? Or has just gone sideways and I'm like, boop, you know, there's alarm lights. I send an ambulance emoji like that's it. So, you know, I don't have to send any words. It's just like the moment you are free, I am needing to phone a friend. Who is the person or people that you call, you know what I mean? When you're like, I need a phone a friend moment.
It really depends on what.
The context.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually, I think like 95% of the time it's going to be my husband.
Yeah.
I think my mom's also up there. If it's a family situation, my mom.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, can you believe what this just did?
Yeah.
So if it's family or like interpersonal, probably my mom or like my husband. If it's interpersonal, if it's business, then it's like someone else who kind of like knows about it.
Yeah.
But I do have like two of my best friends. Like I definitely really appreciate their advice. Probably like more than other.
Yeah.
I just like prioritize it like a little bit higher.
Yeah.
There's these like two people. One, because she is fully on the spectrum and she just doesn't, she gives it to me harsh, gives it to me real. Just, I mean, she's not sugarcoating anything. Whereas my other bestie, she is equally as real, but she has a little bit more like, she can see if I'm like bleeding out.
Yes,
like it's not the time. Yes. Like she'll like, you know, like she could be like a little bit more gentle.
Yes.
Whereas my other bestie is like, she's like wrecking ball Miley Cyrus. Like she's going to tell you like that thing that like, you know, all of your friends talk about you, but like no one like wanted to tell you, like she's going to tell you that thing like at the funeral for like, you know, your mom's funeral or something.
Totally.
But God love her. I mean, I can't get enough of her. I love her so much. She's like, she had that bestie is like, so she has this healing part, speaking of IFS, that is like so major. Like it's such a like, her healing part is just like, but then sometimes her healing part like goes offline. Yeah.
Okay. I only have you for another moment or two before we need to get you to a very important meeting. Last two questions. You have so many beautiful projects already in the cooker. Is there any of them that are like just bringing you so much life and so much joy right now that you just want to shine some more light on? And then if there's anything that you want to leave our audience with today?
I mean, I feel like I did it, or I feel like we left it on the dance floor. Like I'm JVN Hair. We have some really cool things coming out this year. I'm really excited for Let Them Stare.
We're going to do more with JVN Hair, by the way, because the air dry cream. Legendary. Like let's do
you have natural wave?
This is just a blowout that thanks to JVN
Blowout milk?
Yeah,
I love our blowout
it's like,
milk.
it's so.
This is air dry cream.
Yeah, well, the air dry cream is what's saving me because it's making my last longer.
So people talk to me about this,
Yes.
and I never use air dry cream for this, but people talk about it being like really good for refreshing a blow dry.
It's refreshing and it's an extender in my experience. So we're going to do more about that. So, okay, we talked about obviously Let Them Stare,
Yep.
bringing you
My
so much
comedy,
joy.
Queer Eye.
Yes. Oh, wait, you guys are filming next season? We don't know. You don't have to go there. Yeah. Whatever. We love it. And whenever it comes back.
Well, I would say, I mean, look, they're casting.
Yes.
I mean, they talked about it.
So
yeah, yeah. I mean, they talked about it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I think it just, yeah.
Yes,
So
the time, whatever. But anyway, whenever it arises, I'm going to be there with my popcorn. Yay. Okay. Any other projects? Anything else that we want to shine a light on?
I think, no, just getting better every Wednesday.
Yay.
We kind of like redid our Monday episodes. I used to do beauty where I was always like interviewing like beauty founders, which was really fun and I loved it.
Yeah.
Then I realized I felt like I was trying to create like two really excellent, perfect podcasts. And then I felt like it was like detracting from each other.
Yes.
And so then I just wanted to like, our senior producer, Chris, has been one of my best friends for like 10 years. We met in LaGuardia in 2015. We've been working together for the last like 4 years. They helped me produce Getting Curious for Netflix. I love them. Their husband is our sound engineer. And so we wanted to give like, and we're all queers, like just having fun making this, well, it's not always fun, but making this podcast, like getting through it. And so the Monday Edit is like really where I wanted to take like politics, culture, the behind the scenes of my life, of Chris and I's lives. We also do like listener questions on the Monday Edit. Yes. So we kind of rebranded our Mondays again. So that's the Monday Edit. It's not on video, it's just wherever you listen to your podcasts. Yep. You can get on the Getting Better feed. And then our Getting Better is every Wednesday, which you can get on YouTube or wherever you listen.
Perfect.
So we're loving that.
So anything else you want to leave the audience with?
No. No. Yeah. What else do I want to leave the audience with? I think take care and midterms.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. I'm excited for midterms next year.
Yes. Well, you're just such a joy and I adore you and love you. Yes. And we'll have more fun. So thank you for being on. And thanks everyone for watching. Until next time, stay on your game, keep going for your big dreams because the world needs that very special gift that only you have. Hey, if you loved this video, you need to watch this one next. Trust me on that.